Okay, so first thing. Okay, here's the formula for compound interest. This is what we started last Wednesday maybe? Compound interest. Okay, compound interest formula. There he is. Nope. I think he was walking there. I thought I heard the door. All right, for compound interest, this is the formula we have. Now I'm going to put everything on the board that you need to know for this. So 1 plus r over n to the t. Okay. What this formula is, it is a formula that they use for student loans, credit cards, mortgages. So again, compound interest loans is for mortgage, which is a loan that you get on a home. It's kind of bigger. Student loans, because again, student loans are very large, and credit cards use this number. So if you leave a balance on a credit card, they run it through this formula and it pumps out what you owe. Okay? Now, the numbers, what these actually stand for, because each part means something different. I'm going to leave this on the board so you understand what to do with it. A is the amount total. So it's the amount that you're going to owe. It's the total that you're going to pay in the end. Okay. It's not your monthly payments, it's just the total you're going to pay over the number of years that you're borrowing the money for, if you're paying it off. Okay. P is the principal amount. Principal is the original money you borrowed. It's the original money that you're borrowing for the home loan. So maybe it was a $50,000 home, that would be the original amount. Okay? Not including a down payment. And we'll talk about down payments today. That's one of the problems we need to make sure that we know how to do. The R is the interest rate. Again, interest rate changes per year depending on your president. It changes on your credit score. It's just what the bank, it's a number that they charge you for an extra fee, right? Because obviously the bank has to pay for their life and their employees, but this formula is a little bit out of control, I believe. N is the number of times they compound. It's a compound charge. It is an extra charge on top. So what that means is like, usually what these is they charge you a fee every month for not paying it off. Sometimes you can get really lucky where like on a credit card, they'll give you zero interest rate, 0 compounds for the first year you have your credit card. That's really nice. That means they're not charging you anything extra. Just whatever the balance is, it stays that way for the entire first year until you pay it off. There's some like, if you ever used PayPal before, PayPal has a credit system where you can like use it to pay for like eBay and stuff. They charge you a financial charge every month and it's huge. Their financial charges are massive. A lot of people don't like to use PayPal anymore. It's owned by, I think, Facebook. And man, they make money on that site. Holy moly. Last thing, the last number here for T is time. And typically this is in years. And I'm talking years, like usually like on a mortgage or student loan. Student loans are 20-year loans, usually. Mortgages are usually 30 in this area. It does change depending on the type of home you buy. So if you buy a really, really expensive home, sometimes they'll give you better years, more years, you can pay it off. Depends on your age too. Like, cause that was something I talked about last week was like, when I took out my mortgage for my house and back in like 2012, 2011, it was a 30-year loan. What is that, like 2043 when I'll be paid off, or 2042 when I'll be paid off? It's a 30-year loan, depending on the time of year I start paying. And it was like one of those things, like that's a shocker. It's like 30 years, I'll be 60 when I actually pay off my home. 62, I think it was the number that I calculated. So, yeah, they can sometimes deny you to getting a home loan if you're too old, because you'll never pay it off. Like, why would they want to sell you a home if they know you can't possibly make it in 30 years? So you could be denied it based on age, which is a little bit discriminatory, but it's totally understandable. All right, now this is the formula, right? The thing I want to talk about today is what would happen today if you were to make a down payment on a home before you just purchase it, right? Is there an actual difference? Will it make a big change in terms of monthly payments? Will it save you a lot of money? That's something that you need to know, okay? All right, does that make sense what our goal is today? Now, let's practice this first. So let's get one of these under our belt so we know how to use the formula. So let's just make up some numbers. Let's make up a price of a home. So, any price you want. You can go crazy, you can...
20,000.
20,000? Okay, we're gonna go smaller home. 20,000. You can buy homes in this area for that. You can. It is possible. All right, for $20,000, let's say that's our home we're gonna buy. Now, that's the original price. We're not gonna do any down payments on this one. We're gonna just pay the 20 grand. Interest rate. I'm gonna say your interest in this one, your interest rate, let's go with 4.5% interest. Again, that's just some number that they'll make up. It could jump, it could go higher than that. I would not want to take a loan, 4, 5, 6%. Okay. Ooh, you got a pass for me?
Yeah.
Perfect. Mark your present here. Oh, that's from the office, isn't it?
Yeah.
There you go. Okay. All right, so interest rates, 4.5. Let's go number of compounds, obviously that's 12 times a year. That number is automatic. It's 12 compounds a year. Because it's once a month, so 12 compounds. And years, let's say we're gonna do a traditional 30-year loan, okay? So 30-year loan, nothing fancy. So a 30-year mortgage, a loan for that home. Okay, does that make sense? The numbers we're going to be using here. Okay, so again, I'm going to show you how to plug these numbers in, and then we're going to see if you guys can type in and get the right answer in your calculators, because it will make a difference, because at some point today you will have to be able to do this on your own, because I'm going to turn you loose on a couple problems, and you're going to have to turn them in before you leave today. So they're due before you leave. I only have 2 problems I'd like to do, and I want to make sure that you know how to type it in the calculator before we get there, if that makes any sense. Okay, are we ready to go here? Okay, so here we go. Plugging my numbers in. Obviously, this is the formula we're using. A equals the amount we're trying to grow to. We're going to plug the 20,000 for my principal. Okay, now it's going to be 1 plus. That's how the formula always works, 1 plus. My rate divided by the compounds. My rate is 4.5%. What's that as a decimal?
0.045.
0.045. You have to move the decimal over 2 spots. Compounds is 12, right? And in the power, you're going to put 12 up here times 30, the number of years you're borrowing the loan for. Okay, does that make sense where all the numbers go? The hardest part for most people is that the interest, the 0.045. You have to move the decimal over 2 spots. Okay, so I'm going to ask for certain numbers here, but did I ever get that written down? So again, 20,000, my interest is 0.045, 12 for the compounds, 12 compounds, 30-year loan. Again, it depends when you're filling out your paperwork for your home, you can change some of these numbers by how many years you want to go, that might give you a better interest rate, that type of thing. Lower the interest rate, the better, that's the extra fee they're charging. Okay. Here's what I need to know first. What is 0.045 divided by 12? I need that number first. So 1 plus.
Is it a super small number?
Yeah. What do you get? 0.00375.
0.00375. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. So that's a really small number. 0.045 divided by 12. You get a really small number, right? Because you're dividing it up into 12 parts. Now, the next part. We have to add that to the number 1. Well, what do you get when you add it to 1?
1.00375.
There, good, right? Common sense. Just add it, boom, we get that. Okay. Okay, are we good so far with how I got these numbers? Next, we have to figure out the power. What's 12 times 30 in the power?
360.
360. Okay, so the power is 360 up here. Okay, next, we have to figure out the one number, the 1.00375, up to 360th power. So to type that in your calculator, you're going to type in the 1.00375. You're going to look for the little caret key on your calculator. The caret key is this button right here. It's a little up arrow. I call it a caret. A little up arrow. And then you're going to type in 360. And hit enter. And that should give you a number that's small. Like it's going to be 1s, 2s, 3s. It's going to be probably some number that's probably below 9, but it has a decimal after it. Correct? What's my number?
You want all of the numbers?
Yeah, so go as many as you can. That's the key here.
It's 3.7793111. It's wrong? Okay.
Is that wrong?
Great.
Or is that right? Or am I just wrong? I got it.
That's what I got.
Okay, so here it goes.
It's wrong.
I'm going to type it in.
Okay.
1.00375 up to the 360th power.
That's not right.
See, I didn't get that number. What do you?
Who gets you?
I got 627,000
Well, you went too far. You
for
went
the
too far.
house.
Yeah, so hold on. We'll get there. It's not going to be that much.
I got it. Wait.
Okay, what was the decimal you got on your screen?
3.84769.
769
Dude, that's not.
805.
Apparently that's wrong.
So how do you get a weird number
Right.
there? Do you
Is
lose decimal places?
Is that what you got?
1.0037?
I got it.
Okay.
Is that what
Now,
you
that's correct. Okay, now, we take this times 20,000. Now, this is where I think the guys in the back were typing it in. And what do you get when you take 20,000 times that 3.8 number? What do we get?
76,953.86.
So this ends up being $76,953.96 roughly. Okay, does that make sense? This is a $76,000 home. You agreed to pay 20, ends up being after 30 years, 76,000 bucks. That's a lot. I mean, you're tripling your price. It's almost 4 times the price. Because you didn't want to save up your cash. You wanted to just use your loan and pay it off over 30 years. That's an expensive home. You know, that's a realistic problem. So they always say, like, I know 20,000 is a lot of money. If you can save as much as possible, like, don't just buy it right away. Go save a bunch of money up, you know, maybe over a year or two, and make a massive down payment on the home. Like, try to do as much as you can, because that will significantly change the price of your home. That's what I want to warn you of today. I want to show you how just a simple down payment can change a house that was $20,000 to $76,000, how you can save a massive amount of money with a small loan, or a small chunk of change, I should say. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so we're going to go through one of these and I'm going to have you try one out. Okay, so let's talk about a down payment. Okay, let's talk about what a down payment is. Okay, so again, these work on mortgages, student loans, and all that. It's the same concept. That's why having like the pension fund for us makes a massive difference, just saying. Okay, let's talk about a down payment. We talked about this last week. I think it was like last Tuesday. We did problems where we did down payments. I think we had homework on it, in fact. That was one of our assignments. That was the page 8 or 87 stuff. Down payment is when you take the price of whatever you're purchasing and you put like a % of the price down before you purchase it. So let's say you're gonna do your $20,000 home here, right? Your $20,000 home, but you're gonna do a Let's go like a 5% down payment. You're gonna do a 5% down payment on that home. 5%, not even, like, it doesn't seem like a lot until you understand what 5% is, okay? Alright, so 5%. So the trick is, I wanna know what 5% is. So 20,000 times, now what is 5% as a decimal?
0.05.
0.05, yeah. And when you multiply these together, this is the down payment you're gonna put on your home. Say it again. $1,000. $1,000, okay? On a simple down payment. Now you're thinking, okay, $1,000, that ain't bad. I mean, that's pretty small numbers. But, here's the thing. Okay? That means your price of your home, price of the simple home, is now $19,000. Does that make sense what the price of the home is now? Right? You put a down payment, so now the home isn't 20, it's 19. How much money did we put down? 1,000. Maybe you saved it over a year. Maybe you saved, as much money as you could over a year. You tried not to spend it. You just saved up to $1,000, and that doesn't seem like a lot for most people. To me, that's a lot of money, saving up quite a bit over 1 year. And you're gonna purchase a home at 19,000. So here's the thing: you did all these numbers, right? You did all this. All these numbers are correct. You did everything: the interest rate, the compounds, everything. The only difference would be if you did a $1,000 down payment. Would be this final number. That would be the only change. Instead of 20, it'd be a 19. Here's what I'm gonna do. Take that 3.84769,805. Take it times 19,000 now. Not 20. Now we're doing 19,000. And I want to show you the difference here. By just changing the 20 to a 19,000. So 19,000 times times 3.84769,805. What do we get? So this is the number on your calculator.
73,106.26.
6.26. Okay. Now, here's the thing. You put $1,000 down in the home, right? How much did it save you in the long run?
3,000.
$3,000. $1,000 down, right in the first, saved you $3,000 in the long run. That's a pretty good savings for $1,000. If you would have saved more, obviously you would have significantly changed the price of your home. You put $1,000 in this, the difference here is 3. You can see it in front of you. That $1,000 grew to $3,000 over 30 years. That's why down payments are such a big idea when you do a student loan, when you do a home loan, when you do a credit card, putting a massive down payment every month on a credit card. Like if you have one, like make huge deposits of money into it when you have a balance on it. Don't put too much money into a credit card. You don't want to overbalance, but want to make sure that you try to get your credit card down to 0. Because as you can tell, $1,000 right away is huge. So what most people do is, like, if your credit card starts to spiral out of control a little bit, like it's climbing too fast and you can't pay it off, like there's too many things being charged to it that you can't pay it off right away, like it's past your minimum, like what you can afford, go take out a loan from a bank. Like go get a small interest rate loan, pay off the credit card with a simple loan, because in the long run, this is what you're gonna see. The loan will save you a ton of money, as opposed to paying your credit card off. Because even if this is a loan for $1,000, and you put a down payment on a house, in the long run, it saved you $3,000. It's huge. It's a massive savings. Okay, if you were to put more, you'd see a bigger change. That's why most banks want you to put like a 20 to a 10% down payment, somewhere in that ballpark, because they know it's going to massively save you money in the long run. So now I'm going to show you my numbers, because I like to show you realistic numbers, a realistic change. Okay, so here's what I like to do. Okay, so you have your separate sheet of paper out. Everyone's got it? Okay. take out a separate sheet of paper. This is one you're gonna turn into me that you can display that you know what you're doing. Okay, I'm gonna leave that up there so you can at least use that. Let me move the camera, I'm gonna put it on the board here. Okay, so, here's the number I'd like you to try. Okay, and I want you to do a quick calculation to see how much money I'd actually save. Okay, this is my real numbers from my home. Okay, so you can get a sense, because I think it's important you get to see that. Okay, so here's the idea. Okay, my home originally, the mortgage was gonna be $83,000. That was the agreement price of my home that when I first purchased it, back in 2011. Okay, my interest rate was 3.5% interest. 30-year loan. Okay, what I'd like you to do right now is calculate what I would pay for my home over 30 years. It still has the same 12 compounds, so do your normal numbers. Okay, let's see what you can calculate. Again, principal amount of your home, the rate, the number of compounds, time. I want to know how much money I'm paying. I want you to put all this stuff on paper, put your name on it, put the date on it. I want to see if you're paying attention today. Can you calculate this stuff? I'll give you 5 minutes here.
Yeah, that's like a bar.
Yeah, there's a couple in my little basket here. Quite a few of them. Now, I'll type it out because I want to see if you're getting the right numbers. I'll kind of walk around. We won't say them out loud on this one. I know this seems weird. When you finally figure out the price of the home, let me know, raise your hand. I'll walk around if you want to check certain numbers to see if you're right. I can check like checkpoints to see what like your number was here, what your number eventually turned into, and what you got when you took it times my 83,000. So yeah, so that's number. So and then you're going to add that to 1. Yep. You try to use as many decimal places as you can, and now put it to your power. So first, many decimal places as possible. Don't just use 1 or 2 decimal places. Use the 9 that are across your screen for whatever you have. So again, my principal amount that we borrowed was 83. My interest rate was 3.5. This is a pretty traditional loan in like this area. That comment goes 5 and 6. Yeah. That's the number. Yeah. And now you're starting to see the real life. So, okay, so far so good. Actually, your number's a little bit different than mine. Oh, you're doing the wrong number here. 0.03. 0.0. Thought that looked a little too big. 0.035. Wait. 0.0. There you go. So first, divide that by 12. Figure out that number and then add it to 1. Done, let me know when you see it.
How do banks like, because they use different calculators, they have like different decimals, how do they know like exactly?
Because when they're doing the same stuff you are, it's a business style calculator, statistic calculator, they can hit a percent button and moves decimals from automatically, and so like they just have quick hotkeys they hit. They don't have to hit like everything you're doing here. This, you're doing the real math, it's just you're doing it with probably more keystrokes than they would probably need to. And when you're done, I want to see it. It's a big number. Remember, you're using my 83,000, you're using that 3.5%, 30 years, 12 compounds a year. Click. So first, there you go, put that number down. That's to that power, right? And then you'll take it times my price. So. This number seems wrong. What was this number again? That was a 0.035 divided by 12? Divided by 0.035 divided by 12. Add that to the number 1. There you go. So that's this number. Then you'll put it to the power. Okay, good. And you're taking that crazy number of times my price, right? All right, now you're getting to it. Okay, now we're almost there. I think some of you are just getting to that final numbers, right? Yeah, 2 more minutes before we move on to the next step. These are real numbers, by the way. These are my real mortgage numbers. It's just a massive number. Yep, so far so good. I'm gonna take that, because that's this number now. Take it times that, and that'll be my final price. Good. Take that one. Oh, yeah, okay. Okay. Alright. Stop, get out of the way, my kid. Serious, like. Hey, Joe, now I gotta edit you out.
I'm not leaving.
Alright, it was a massive number, right?
Joe, Mom.
It was 200-some thousand. That's ridiculous. For an $83,000 home, it was like almost triple. Okay, now here's the thing. Here's the good news. Okay, and this is what I want you to figure out. Okay, all right. So, this is the mortgage that I agreed to. Okay, but I had a savings account. So, what I did is I wiped out my whole entire savings, and I put a massive down payment on the home. Okay, the down payment I literally did, no joke. I put a $20,000 down payment on the home before I bought it. Took everything out of my savings I had. So, took that out, and I did a $20,000 down payment. So, what does that mean for how much I'm actually paying for the home?
63.
Okay, so that means if I put a $20,000, that means I'm actually agreeing to pay $63,000 for my home. So, what I'd like you to do now is because you got all your numbers you needed, what I'd like you to do is go back in, because you did all these numbers correct, because you guys probably all have these written down up to this point. All you have to do now on your calculator is go back, change the 83,000 and put a 63 there instead. Put a 63 here, and you already had this big number that you had, that number stayed the same, and just hit enter, and I want to know instead, what is the home that I'm purchasing, and don't say it out loud, just write it down on paper, okay? Yeah. Yeah. Good. Yeah, so that number and you're gonna take it times that number.
Yes. Tell Mark and Lee about two different.
Okay.
Oh, loser.
I
Okay, so once you have it, write it down. I'm gonna take these, put your name on it, put the date on it.
What is the date?
It is the 30th. Sorry, I haven't updated that. I gotta go update that here in a second.
It's 2019.
It is the 19th.
So,